What's up, y'all? It's Alexiana. Welcome back to my channel. Now in today's video, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be talking about the case about Talhotblond. Now if you're not familiar with what that case is about, let me fill y'all in. Basically, it tells a story about this man right here, Thomas Montgomery. And basically he went online pretending to be some 18-year-old Marine, in which he was talking to this girl who called herself Talhotblond. Her real name was Jessie Sheeler and stuff like that. And basically it caused a love triangle between him, Jesse, and one of his young co-workers at work, 22-year-old Brian Barrett. Insert picture here. And basically everything spiraled out of control and he ended up killing Brian over Jesse, not knowing that in real life Jesse is a real person, but it wasn't Jesse who was talking to both Thomas and Brian online. It was actually Jesse's mother, Mary. And yeah, everything just spiraled out of control and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, for those of you who've been subscribing for a long time, anytime I cover true crime cases, I read whatever I find off the internet, and basically I just pause in between just to give my opinion. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, it says, the internet is known as a breeding ground for illicit affairs between people, often hiding behind fake names and handles. But most such virtual relationships aren't as dangerous as this when Talhotblond and Marine Sniper struck up a relationship online. It ended in murder. And Thomas Montgomery, he went on this website called Pogo, in which he called himself Marine Sniper, because if you don't know, Thomas Montgomery actually really did spend some time in the Marines and stuff like that, but he ended up having a drinking problem and he just left it. Marine Sniper was 46-year-old Thomas Montgomery, a married father of two. In May 2005, posing as a young, handsome, Iraq-bound Marine, he entered a teen chat room on the popular game site Pogo. When 18-year-old Talhotblond started instant messaging him, he decided to pretend he was 18 too. I kept thinking, well, we're never going to meet. I'll just play the game with her, he said. Before long, the flirtation became a romance. Talhotblond's instant messages revealed that her real name was Jessie, a softball-playing high school senior from West Virginia. She sent Montgomery photos that lived up to her screen name, and then some. There were some very provocative poses, he said. In return, Jessie wanted to see what he looked like too, so he sent her his photo from Marine boot camp, in which I'm going to insert the picture right here. The picture was 30 years out of date. Montgomery's screen name, Marine Sniper, was nostalgic, harkening back to the 6 years he spent in the military as a young man. He has hinted darkly of covert ops and dark deeds best unmentioned, but U.S. Marine records obtained by 2020 show that although he qualified as a sharpshooter, he never trained as a sniper or saw action. And also, as a matter of fact, let me get it. Okay, well, pretty much I have two movies. I have this documentary version right here that basically tells the whole story, showing the real Thomas Montgomery, the real victims, and all that kind of other stuff. And in this documentary right here, Thomas Montgomery even had mentioned that, he never really saw live combat, just like this article said. Like, that article didn't lie. Like, Thomas Montgomery even had said in this documentary, like, he never really saw real combat, but he did spend, 6 years in the Marines and stuff like that. So that all is true. Like, he never really saw real combat as a sniper or anything. So yeah, like I said, I have this documentary version and a Lifetime movie version over there that has actors reenacting the whole thing, and of course names have been changed to protect the true identity. Like, Jessie Sheeler's name in the documentary, well, not in the documentary, Jessie Sheeler's name in the movie is Katie, and Thomas Montgomery's wife, her real name is Cindy, but in the movie, like the reenacted version, she goes by Carol. So yeah, but everything else is true. Like, Brian and Thomas's name stay the same. But for Jesse, he invented a younger, stronger, more viral version of himself called Tommy. He was my height, 6 feet tall, had bright red hair, said Montgomery, big shoulders, muscles, and all that. Instant messages recovered from his computer showed that the online relationship began to consume Montgomery. He told 2020 that this relationship became more real to me than real life. The feelings seemed to be mutual. Jesse and Tommy exchanged gifts, phone calls, and love letters. I love you always and forever, Tommy, wrote Jesse. "I've never felt this way," Montgomery responded. "The relationship had become more than a flirtation," Montgomery said. "There was virtual sex going on in there between her and Tommy," he said. While Montgomery said the virtual sex made him feel kind of dirty, he was in too deep to sever ties with her. "If I was smart, I would have just ended it, but it was like a drug that I needed every day," he said. Montgomery seemed to be losing touch with reality. He wrote a note to himself. On January 2nd, 2006, Tom Montgomery, 46 years old, ceases to exist and is replaced by an 18-year-old battle-scarred Marine. He is moving to West Virginia to be with the love of his life. Not knowing hell is going to freeze over shortly. Fate finally took a hand. In March 2006, Montgomery told 2020 one of his daughters was using his computer when Jesse happened to instant message him. Montgomery's wife, alerted by her daughter, found a trove of love letters, photos, and mementos from Jesse, including a pair of red panties. She sent Jesse a photo of her family and a letter. "Let me introduce you to these people," she wrote. "The man in the center is Tom, my husband since 1986. My husband since 1989. He is 46 years old." Montgomery said Jesse was horrified and broke off the relationship immediately. "She sends me a text message and says she hates me. You should be put in jail for this," he told 2020. And I totally agree with that, because even though, 18 is the legal age, that is sick, because come on, bro, you're 46 years old, pretty much grooming an 18-year-old. Like, that's it. But Jesse also emailed one of Montgomery's co-workers, a 22-year-old, good-looking part-time machinist and college student named Brian Barrett, to see if it was really true. Brian's screen name is Beefcake, and as he consoled Jesse online, she seemed to find a better fit with him, and perhaps a way to strike back at the combat Marine who wasn't. Before long, Jesse was sending Brian her photos, and the two had become a cyber item. Marine Sniper became consumed with jealousy, and he wasn't about to take it lying down. "Brian will pay in blood," Montgomery instant messaged Jesse at one point. His messages became increasingly violent as he was forced to watch their romance blossom in the same chat rooms he used to frequent with Jesse. "He was enraged," said former prosecutor Ken Case. "I mean, it oftentimes shocked me when I saw the names that he would call her." And also in this documentary right here, it does show like text messages and stuff like that, and instant messages between Brian, Jesse, and Thomas and stuff like that. Man, Thomas was going in. He's racist too. Like, he even dropped the N-word, saying some stuff. He was talking to Jesse, saying some stuff. "I don't want to hear anything from you unless you're being gang raped by niggers," and stuff like that. Calling her a nigger-loving skank or some shit like that. Like, it was crazy. Like, that man went in. Jesse and Barrett took to the internet to make sure everyone knew Montgomery, who recently had a birthday, was a liar. They were then going into these chat rooms and letting people know that he was actually 47 years old, said Case. They almost made him out to be a pedophile. But the items that came from Talhotblond showed her to be torn, mad one instant, desperate to return to a love with a man who she knew didn't exist, teasing him. She continued her talking to Montgomery online, and I'm finna read some of the messages right here. Talhotblond: "I ate to be with Tommy. Do you miss it, Tom?" Marine Sniper, aka Thomas Montgomery: "More than you will ever know. My heart aches to hear you call me your Tommy. I wish I could be that 19-year-old Marine for you." Talhotblond: "I know, Tom." Jesse took up with Montgomery again. In his mind, this is the jackpot, said Barbara Schroeder, who documented the bizarre relationship in a documentary called Talhotblond. He was being accepted for being 47, and he still had this hot young girl who wanted him. Montgomery knew he was in way over his head, but he couldn't bring himself to end things with her. "It was like a drug. I was addicted to it. I couldn't just end it." At one point, when his wife actually told him to get off the computer and talk to her, Montgomery couldn't. "I just told her I'll get off when I'm done," he recalled. Montgomery says nothing sexual happened between them after Talhotblond found out how old he was, but their IMs tell a different story. Marine Sniper: "Wish you were new." Talhotblond: "What would you do?" Marine Sniper: "Stare." Talhotblond: "That all?" Marine Sniper: "Nope." Also Marine Sniper: "You might get the magic." Talhotblond: "Make love to me, Tommy." But it didn't last. Jesse told Montgomery they were through and seemed to take up with Barrett instead. Montgomery began to go into a downward spiral. "The obsession turns into jealousy, and then the jealousy turns into betrayal and revenge," said District Attorney Frank Sedita. "You really start to get a sense of this person going into an abyss, and it's kind of frightening." And then the tipping point, Barrett said he was going to meet Talhotblond in person. He actually drove down to, I think, North Carolina, said Case, and on his way back he was saying, I'm going right past your house. I'd love to get together. Jesse texted him at the last minute not to visit, but Montgomery, who had learned of the plan to meet, was incensed. On September 15, 2006, as Barrett left work, 3 shots rang out. Brian Barrett was found dead in the parking lot where he worked, shot 3 times by a military rifle. Police quickly learned of the internet love triangle from co-workers, and when they couldn't find Thomas Montgomery, they feared they knew just where he was headed. At 3 in the morning, Captain Ron King told 2020, our first concern was talking to Jessie and making sure she was still alive. And when police arrived at her home, they were in for another surprise. A woman named Mary Sheeler opened the door. Uh-oh. Talhotblond's shocking secret. As police questioned her, she revealed the shocking truth. She was the one who had been sending messages to Montgomery and Barrett under the handle Talhotblond. The pictures she sent Montgomery were actually those of her daughter, the real Jessie, who had no knowledge of her mother's cyber life. Montgomery was charged and later pled guilty to the murder of Brian Barrett. In exchange for his plea, he received a 20-year sentence. Prosecutors said their discovery of Montgomery's DNA on a peach pit found at the crime scene and a photo of Montgomery family's gun cabinet, which showed the type of old military rifle that police believed was used to shoot Barrett, were key to their case against Montgomery. Prosecutors in Buffalo, meanwhile, looked for a way to charge Mary Sheeler for something, anything in the case, but concluded she may have tramped all over the moral and ethical line, but never crossed the legal one. In which I totally understand where she's coming from. Like, yeah, she may have gotten Thomas Montgomery worked up into killing Brian, but they can't legally charge her with anything because it's not like she said, hey, you need to go kill Brian or anything like that. Like, I hate to say it, but she pretty much was having fun online. Shame on her. She not only didn't do anything about it, I think she provoked it, said Ken Case. Unfortunately, in New York State, you have to do a little something more to be criminally liable, which is what I said. Mary Sheeler didn't come away unscathed. Her husband divorced her over her deception, and her daughter Jessie cut ties too, moving in with relatives in Virginia where she was attending college. Mary Sheeler also pursued an education. She took classes at a community college in West Virginia. She has spoken publicly about the deadly love triangle just once to the BBC. It was stupid. It should have never happened. I just never thought it would go anywhere, she said. That it would end, fall off, and that would be the end of it. And that's that on that. I just want to say this. This is the part of the story that really just puzzles me. Like I keep showing y'all this documentary right here that shows the real life people, Thomas Montgomery and all those people and stuff like that that were involved. This is the part of the story that really gets to me. Like, part of me wants to think, like, maybe low-key online she probably knew she wasn't talking with Mary Sheeler. Like, maybe low-key she probably didn't know maybe she probably low-key knew she wasn't talking to an 18-year-old Marine and probably just wanted to play along. Or maybe she probably low-key did think in the back of her mind that she was talking to an 18-year-old Marine, and like Thomas Montgomery, she just wanted to play the game. But common sense tells you, like, even Thomas Montgomery has said in the documentary that there's no way, like, that you're going to be able to pull out a computer or a phone in a third world country and be able to chat. Like, did you really think, like, you be talking to an 18-year-old Marine on combat mission? Like, there's no way in a third world country, if they're going to war or something like that, there's no way they're going to have time to pull out a computer or phone and chat. Like, that just makes me wonder, like, did she low-key really think she was talking to an 18-year-old Marine? Or maybe it just makes me think, like, did she low-key think she really was talking to an 18-year-old Marine? Or maybe she did know and just wanted to play the game? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying. And also, this teaches you a lesson, like, be careful online, because not everybody is who they say they are. Like, with me, on the other hand, I am who I say I am. Like, I have YouTube, I have Snapchat, I have Instagram, Facebook. Like, I have a lot of stuff proving that I'm real, so I have no reason to catfish anyone. But you can clearly tell this is back in the early 2000s, like in 2005, 2006, because in this day and age, that would not happen. Like, you have FaceTime, Skype,